Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate that speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ready to start another great race in the Precision Racing League. Green flag flies, we're underway. Side by side, door to door contact. Incredible action here in the PRL. And they come together. After all the fighting, it ends in tears.
Welcome one, welcome all to RaceSpotTV for the penultimate round of PRL Thursdays for 2024 Season 3. We've got the GR86-MX5 series up first and Super Formula later. I'm Reese Gardner with Mark Kalin alongside me in the commentary box, here to bring you the action, the scintillating action from the production car race here at Long Beach. Mark, very difficult circuit here at Long Beach for the second last round of the season. We visited some fantastic circuits over the course of this season, and we've gotten a great race at pretty much every single one of them.
We have indeed, and you couldn't have hit the nail any harder on the head than what you did just a moment ago by saying this is a very difficult circuit, because it is extremely difficult. Zero room for error. You have walls on both sides, no room to escape, no chance of gathering the car back up if you make a mistake, nowhere to hide. Extreme difficulty, and these guys are going to be on their toes every lap, every corner, every second of this race.
8 a.m. brain kicked in for me. It is not the penultimate round. It is in fact the third last. We go to Willow Springs and then Virginia to end off the season for the last 2 rounds towards the end of the month. But yeah, we visited a fantastic sequence of circuits over the course of this season, and it's not going to let up, as you said, Mark, here at Long Beach. It's one of the toughest circuits to have a clean race at, and we're hoping that everyone makes it through cleanly, because the championships are looking very good at the moment. Andrew Sharp is currently on vacation, second place in the championship, so he won't be racing tonight, but he's only got 5 points going into this round, behind Brett Gardner, who continues to lead the championship. Matthew Wyckoff and Maxime David have got only 2 points between them. Jake Cummings, Brett Gardner's teammate, he's had a string of results so far that haven't quite been up to his usual standard in this series, so he's got a lot to fight for here on the streets of Long Beach, with Jean-Sébastien Bedard chasing him down there, only 3 points behind. Very close indeed in the GR86s, and in the team's championship for GR86s, well, Cummings and Gardner, Tech Sport Academy by AMS, they are dominating the team standings right now. They have nearly 100 points over Valhalla Motorsports. The no-team team, which is Maxime David and Jean-Sébastien Bedard, they're only 2 points behind, so there could be a change if second place in the GR86 team championship coming out of this round, if things fall in a certain direction. Tachyon Simsport and Soy Boys Racing, meanwhile, only separated by 4 points for 6th spot. In the MX5s, meanwhile, it's the Itasca Point drivers that are dominating the top of the standings. Lincoln Fox is 10 points ahead of Michael Chase, only a single point back again for Pat Labrosse. Austin Bartlett Chase, who also races for Itasca Point, he is going to be chasing down Peter Moller for 4th place in the standings. And as far as they go, pretty much every other driver in the top 10 at the moment is currently not in the server and hasn't been for a while this season. The MX5 field has dwindled as of recent, but we've still gotten some fantastic racing in the MX5 championship here, with Itasca Point green and blue again dominant at the top of those standings. Solpec Precision Racing MX5, they've been able to get some good results in the past, but they haven't been able to touch the Itasca Point guys at all this season. They've certainly got it locked down in this championship, which is brought to you by many fantastic sponsors here at the Precision Racing League. Let's thank them, starting with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available on the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products. You just got to use the Precision5 coupon code on checkout at advancedsimracing.com. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com. You can also get a 5% discount there using the Precision5 coupon code at checkout. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. Moradness.com, also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. MrHedge.co.uk is also on Facebook and Instagram. And finally, get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. They're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Threads. Wherever you care to look in the conventional social media space. A brilliant sequence of sponsors here at the Precision Racing League, providing us the ability to go for this fantastic racing over the course of 2024 Season 3. We are in qualifying at present with the GR86 Top 4 and MX5 P1 and 2 getting their lap times on the board. The times are flowing in, Mark, and currently it's Maxime David who is on top in the GR86s, Lincoln Fox on top in the MX5s.
Yeah, and we have a couple of additions to the MX5 field. Making his debut for this season, Patrick Cowgill in the MX5s, currently shown in 5th place in the MX5 standings, about just over 2 seconds off the pace. Glad to see Patrick with us tonight. Apparently was not able for the first 6 races of the season, but nonetheless, we are glad he is here with us. So, thank you, Patrick.
Certainly.
And as always, look at the aggressiveness of his body language there with the wheel, manhandling it like crazy.
Yeah, you got to in the MX5. It's a car that has a lot of grip available and an excellent chassis, which means you are absolutely on the edge all the way through a lap here at Long Beach. Yeah, it's good to see Patrick Cowgill having a run here in the MX5s. I haven't seen him race in a very long time. He usually does the oval stuff here at PRL, which I haven't been involved with for quite a long time, a couple of years actually. But we'll see if Patrick is able to make any improvements on his initial qualifying lap here. 136.2 is his fastest, 136.3, and he improves all the way into the 1:35s. Still 0.6 off the likes of Keith Gwinnett, who actually is one of our GR86s, but at the very least getting times on the board is Patrick, and as long as he keeps it clean, he'll be guaranteed a good result tonight.
Yeah, and don't count him out, folks, because even though he is one of our NASCAR drivers, he races in the NASCAR Truck Series on Wednesday nights. He did get the victory at Watkins Glen just last night.
Indeed, so he is certainly not an oval-only specialist. He can certainly get it done on road courses as well. Graham Wildman, meanwhile, in the GR86s, he's had a really good run the last few weeks, having competed more regularly in this series. Currently sitting in 3rd and looking to improve on a 132.9. It's pretty close at the top of the standings now with Brett Gardner, our championship leader, occupying the top position now, only a 10.5 separating him from Maxime David and Graham Wildman. Only another 1.5 tenths back from that. Let's see if he can nail the exit from that very tight hairpin, which is going to be single file on the formation lap. Usually double file starts in this series, but they'll go single file through the hairpin and form up double file ready for the start. If not, drivers will get reported. That's another lap on the board there for Wildman, and it is an improvement, but not in terms of position.
Yeah, and this is shaping up, Reese, to be another fantastic race-long battle between our top 4 drivers here, Brett, Maxime, Graham, and Jean-Sebastien. These guys have been putting on a heck of a show the last several races, and I think tonight is going to be even better.
Yep, looking forward to it, especially considering Lincoln Fox and Michael Chase seem to be separated by practically nothing at the top of the MX5 standings, on board with Lincoln as he makes his way through the twisty opening sector of this street circuit. Try to use as much of the curb as you can, but he's overcooked it on the way out, and, well, that's what happens when you apply the power a bit too early in cars like the MX5 that have treaded tires, and they take a little bit to heat up. Austin Bartlett Chase also seems to be having some trouble there with the rear end. Looks like it's dancing around quite a bit around here.
Yeah, very unstable on the rear end for these cars, especially if you carry too much speed into these corners. It's not going to take much for them to step out on you. You lose control, spin the car around, and find yourself into one of these many walls.
Yeah, walls line the circuit in all places. Austin Bartlett Chase trying to improve here as Pat Labrosse is going to put him down a further position. Labrosse improving to 3rd in the MX5s. Austin Bartlett Chase winding on all of the lock and then some in the hairpin, the slowest corner on the circuit, and I think probably the slowest corner in all of iRacing. It's very tight indeed, and you got to make sure that you straighten up as soon as possible for the optimum exit. Across the line he comes, and it's a 1:35.5, so not able to improve on his 35.1 that started this session off for him. We are almost into the final minute of qualifying, which means the likes of Jeremy Rogers only having this one lap left to run. And Jeremy currently in 6th. He's got 2/10 to make up to put Matthew Wyckoff out of the top 5.
Yeah, the top of the field, very tight. Looks like the top 8 GR86 drivers within 1 full second of each other, and that's including 3 of our MX5 drivers, all there, right there with those GR86s, which we have seen several times, a bit of overlap as far as time goes with these cars. So it just goes to show you again that not going to be much room for error when these MX5 cars catch the back half of this GR86 field. They're going to have to be very cautious on where they make their passes.
Indeed they will. Long Beach, a difficult circuit to pass at in any car. A 33.2 there for Jeremy Rogers. Sorry, 33.3. It just updated there as Maxime David goes straight to the top of the standings in the final few seconds of the session. He now has provisional pole position by a 10th from Brett Gardner, and it looks like that's qualifying all run, done and won. Everyone setting times in the session here. We're going to have 20 cars taking to the start, 14 GR86s and 6 MX5s, and they line up as follows. Maxime David and Brett Gardner are your front row, with Graham Wildman and Jean-Sebastien Bedard in 3rd and 4th. The no team getting 1st and 4th there. Nice run indeed. Matthew Wyckoff and Jeremy Rogers will round out the top 6. Then we go to Ian Brown and Jake Cummings, the other 2 Tech Sport Academy by AMS cars, with Zach Yurt in his unmissable fluorescent jigsaw puzzle livery, starting alongside Keith Gwinnett to round out the top 10. Josiah Douglas and Liam Parks are 11th and 12th, with Ewan Brown and Logan Carasimo our last of the GR86 field. And then all 6 of our MX5s are on screen here. Chase and Fox on the front row, Pat Labrosse in 3rd, Peter Moller once again in the Solpec Precision Racing 997 starting out of 4th, with Austin Bartlett Chase and Patrick Cowgill rounding out our field. And it's quite a big gap that Bartlett Chase and Cowgill have in terms of pace to the rest of the MX5 field, but that's only over a single lap. Let's see how the race goes for them. Nice conditions at the moment in the session. 79 Fahrenheit, that's 26 Celsius for those of you in metric land, and it's solid evening conditions here, so we're going to have a lot of nice grip at hand.
Yeah, and it's right here at sunset conditions here in the California area of Long Beach, and hopefully there's not going to be too much glare coming into the visors of these drivers, making things difficult to see, because it's difficult enough as it is without that.
Yeah, indeed. Having the sun peeking through the buildings every so often, flashing in your eyes, could provide a great distraction over the course of this race, which will last for 35 minutes. Same as always, no pit stops for anyone in the field. It's going to be an out-and-out sprint all the way to the end. We're going to see the packs ebb and flow. We're going to see the MX5s catch up to the rear of the GR86 field at some point during the race, despite them leaving a solid gap to the GR86 field. About to make their way through the hairpin to start things off here. Remember, mandated single file through the hairpin, and if there is any contact in the hairpin on the formation lap, then it is reportable. Well, Maxime David assumes the front row here, with Brett Gardner drawing up alongside him, and we wait for the call of the green flag. David is already away. A great start, a great jump. Brett Gardner at a disadvantage there. Graham Wildman has already made his way past Gardner into 2nd, but he can't actually assume the racing line until right there. There was a very slow run that he got as they make their way into turn 1 for the first time. Wildman goes defensive as there's a big big move in the braking zone there from Matthew Wyckoff, who just avoids getting into the tyre bundles. The MX5s are away, and looks like Lincoln Fox has had a very poor start there, falling into third, Pat Labrosse into second, as it's still side by side between Wildman and Gardner for second in the GR86s. Maxime David streaking away.
And right here, very easy to clip that curb on the inside to shoot you out into the wall. Looks like everybody's going to make it through safe and clean, single file. Still Maxime with a solid lead right now. Brett Gardner, Graham Wildman chasing him down. Everyone just nose to tail, single file, not any moves to be had at the moment. Looking to make their moves, but just nothing to be had right now.
Yeah, difficult to pass in these early stages, especially when the tyres are cold. Jean-Sebastien Bedard chasing down Graham Wildman to get into the top three, and I think these guys are going to have to work together at some point to try and catch up to David. He's out in the lead by 1.5 seconds already at the end of the first lap, and a very short lap here at the Long Beach Street Circuit. These laps are going to flick by as side by side for the MX5 lead, Pat Labrosse gets into P1.
Yeah, move Pat Labrosse up to P1. Michael Chase just behind, followed by Lincoln Fox. Coming through the hairpin now onto the front stretch. Looks like Michael Chase may have had a slightly better run, but he's going to tuck in behind, coming down the front stretch. Use that draft to his advantage and hope for a move into turn one.
Yeah, the draft is pretty strong in the MX5s and GR86s, but the front straight is only just long enough to really get the benefit of it. You have to be assertive on the brakes. Single file for the MX5s into turn one. We'll see if there's any more moves from them. Meanwhile, the number 58 GR86 here of Jeremy Rogers having a couple of issues here. He's down 3 spots now. He was side by side with Jake Cummings a few corners ago, and now Liam Parks decides it's time to have a go at him, but he's not able to get it done. Keith Gwinnett now sees an opportunity, and oh dear, turned across the front of them there is Jeremy Rogers. Big damage. Liam Parks with technical issues, and that is our first big incident in the GR86s. Rogers can't get going though. The MX5s are coming up on him.
Yeah, MX5s are now there on the scene. Jeremy can go now, as all MX5s have gone through, but he has lost a ton of time, plus the damage to boot.
Yeah, it's a real shame there for Jeremy Rogers and Liam Parks, just coming together in a very awkward spot on the circuit. Well, that has ultimately split up the GR86 field quite a bit. We're looking at Ewan Brown, Josiah Douglas and Logan Carasimo here fighting for 10th in the GR86s at the moment, as Brett Gardner gets the fastest lap so far. He is wasting no time dialing up a chase towards Maxime David in the lead. We'll keep our eyes on this 10th place fight here as a replay of the incident between Rogers and Parks. It just looks to me like, it looks like Parks, I mean, he couldn't have moved any more left than he was. Remember, they had Keith Gwinnett right there with them. So I think just unfortunate to see as the problems continued for Jeremy Rogers there. A little bit of a roll in the hairpin, and he's escaped back to the pits. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is. It's a 3-wide situation on a very tight, narrow track, and I think no harm done by Liam, but Jeremy just kept coming over, and I don't think he realized that they were 3 wide at the time.
Yeah, it's just a consequence of the difficulties racing at Long Beach. You know, you want to try and give each other space, but sometimes 3 wide on a wide street like that one, you just don't have the opportunity to see really what the deal is behind you. But hopefully they'll be able to get back out on track and at least try and get some points out of this. Austin Bartlett Chase has fallen all the way to the back of the MX5 field meanwhile. He's battling with Patrick Cowgill for that top 5 position. For the moment, Cowgill looks to have the advantage.
Yeah, at the moment, Patrick doing very solid job so far in this race. They have lost touch a little bit with the front 4, but I believe that may have had something to do with that incident between the GR86s, and then Liam was caught in the middle of them going through the hairpin section, so I think they just lost a little bit of time through that. But other than that, doing a solid job, and currently running P5 for Patrick Cowgill as we ride on board with him.
Yeah, he's got his eyes forward. He's focusing hard on trying to chase down Peter Moller, who has the back of the top 4 pack at the moment. Cowgill can only just see them, as well as the tail end of the GR86s that are racing at the moment. Liam Parks remaining out on track with Jeremy Rogers. It looks like almost a confirmed retirement at this stage. The fighting continues further back here. That's Josiah Douglas making his way past Ewan Brown. A good defense there from the number 14, but the MX5s are catching up to the rear of the GR86 pack now, and this could produce some interesting battles. The MX5s battling with each other. They're not really racing the GR86s at the moment. All of the classes scored separately in this series. So if you have an unnecessary incident with a GR86, then that is something you don't want, as it looked like Carasimo had a massive slide coming through the Indy left.
Yeah, very, very good catch and recovery from Logan Carasimo there, coming through the sweeping left-hander as the MX5s were passing him on the outside. That very easily could have ended up in tragedy for him and other drivers around him. As we ride on board with Liam, see a replay, just backs it into the tire barrier there.
Okay, wow, that almost was disaster for Cowgill, and that has lost him the position to Austin Bartlett Chase. But Patrick was right on that, wasn't he? He was on the brakes at the right time and just shaved his way past Liam Parks. Still, that's more time that they've lost to the MX5 top 4. Meanwhile, this is the lead of the GR86s. Brett Gardner, he is driven like an animal and caught up to Maxime David, and we have a battle for the win here with 27.5 minutes on the clock.
Well, Reese, I would like to say I'm surprised, but I guess the only surprise here is that I'm surprised Graham isn't right there with him at the moment. Not to say he won't be there soon, but these three have been the class of the field all season long, and without Andrew Sharp here tonight to race with these guys, it's a 3-horse fight for the win, and right now it's just Brett and Maxime David. And Brett looking to make a move into turn 1, using the draft, gaining a little bit, peeking left, showing the nose, saying, hey, I'm still here, making them think about it. Not going to make a move here too far back, but right on his bumper coming up to the fountain section.
Yes, meanwhile, Ian Brown and Matthew Wyckoff were side by side in the braking zone for turn 1, and Brown unsuccessful in working his way past. Let's see what he can do on his way through here. Wyckoff losing touch with the top 4 as the MX5s continue to slip and slide their way through the back of the GR86s. It's a very close fight between Michael Chase and Lincoln Fox there for second place in the MX5s, and crucially for Peter Moller, he was able to work his way past those other cars right before they got into the fountain section. Oh no, Ian Brown and Matthew Wyckoff have come together there, coming onto the very wide street in the middle of the lap, and that looks like some pretty hefty damage there for Wyckoff. He's going to have to escape back to the pits, and I think that might be his race over.
Yeah, you saw the car bouncing a little bit. That's a telltale sign of suspension damage. And as we get a replay now here, Wyckoff leading into the corner. A little bit of a tank slapper. It wasn't anything that...
Ian Brown.
Sorry, I couldn't think of his name. There's nothing Ian could have done there. He was just a passenger, but unfortunately, Wyckoff just getting it wrong and ending his day.
Yeah, that's a real shame. I don't even know if they actually made some initial contact there as Brett Gardner and Maxime David. The fight is getting ugly for the lead of the race there. Gardner was forced into the pit lane exit, which would have gotten him a slowdown on the way into the corner, and that's promoted Graham Wildman into second place.
Yeah, Brett doing the smart thing and immediately getting on the brakes there, letting Graham get by and allowing himself time to get that slowdown taken care of. But wow, a little door bang into the turn, and Brett Gardner very fortunate to even still have a car. That could have easily been into the tire barriers.
Yeah, certainly could have. We'll see the onboard view of it here. He draws up alongside and then moving across in the braking zone, it looks like, ever so slightly. And Wildman right there to take advantage. You would have seen that happening right in front of him and prepared for that. But yeah, I don't know how Brett Gardner's going to feel about that contact with Maxime, and it's unclear whether Maxime made a mistake or it was just the two cars going into the same trajectory into the braking zone. Still, it's not what you want to see in the battle for the lead. Let's go then as we make our way out of the hairpin.
Well, I can tell you right now how he feels. He's already made his way back around Graham, and he's ready to chase down Maxime and take another shot at him. The only issue is he's now 3 seconds behind him. Can he make that time up? There is 23 minutes left in this race, but it's still going to take time to gather all that lost time back as Josiah Douglas goes for a ride into the walls.
Yeah, into the access point for the marshals alongside the concrete barriers there. Something that we've seen quite a few times out of that corner. The incident that we saw between Ian Brown and Jeremy it was the Valhalla car of Matthew Wyckoff. Yeah, it's unclear from the angles that we saw whether or not there was some initial contact there that sent Wyckoff around in that location, but it is a possibility. So, yeah, I suppose we won't find out for a while. In any case, we have to focus on Brett Gardner, who's once again leaving Graham Wildman and Jean-Sébastien Bedard in the dust as he tries to chase down Maxime David again. He's done it before, and he can certainly do it again.
And Graham Wildman, as you saw, coming over the curbs, just got a little bit squirrely. That's going to cost him a tenth or two. Nothing crazy. But Brett Gardner, on that lap alone, nearly 8 tenths gained back on Maxime. It's down to 2.7 seconds behind Maxime. He is coming with fierceness. And here's another look at the Wyckoff incident.
Oh yeah, there was contact. Look at that. A tiny little bump there from Ian Brown that sent Wyckoff sliding, and he tried to correct it. Ultimately, the fronts got loaded up a bit too hard, and that was super heavy contact into the wall that has effectively ended Matthew Wyckoff's race with his reporting 13 minutes of repairs. Yeah, he counter-steered a little bit there already before the contact happened, and it just looked like Ian carried the momentum and just gave him the tiniest of taps.
Yeah, that's just an unfortunate incident of hard, close racing on a tight circuit. Ewan was right on his rear bumper when Wyckoff got loose, and therefore would have had no time to react to that. Just one of those bang situations, and just an unfortunate ending to both of those drivers' races, as going a little deep into the fountain section there for one of our drivers.
Yeah, that was Ewan Brown, I believe, oh my lord. Okay, it looks like Josiah Douglas continuing to, Ewan Brown continuing to have his issues there. He was deep in turn one and ultimately had to make way for Josiah Douglas as he made his way through. Well, the battle for fifth is on. Jake Cummings and Ian Brown, the teammates at Tech Sport Academy, fighting with Zach Yurt at the end of the lap. And nice little bit of side-by-side racing between those two drivers, but they don't want to get in each other's way too much. They've got a solid gap now to Jean-Sébastien Bedard. It looks like around about 7 to 8 seconds that Jake Cummings has to make up here. So he'll be hoping that Ian Brown doesn't race him too hard and they can focus on making their way forward.
Yeah, but at the same time, Ian Brown's going to be sitting there hoping he can get around Jake as fast as possible, because he thinks he's faster than Jake, as does Zachary Yurt, thinking he's faster than Ian.
Yeah, well, At this point, Jake Cummings looks like the fastest of the three, but Zach Yurt is definitely quicker than Ian Brown on the last lap. So let's see what he can do, making his way forward. And this is the corner where we've seen quite a bit of drama in the GR86 class. Look at the speed there that Yurt carried on entry, but a little bit of a bounce in the middle of the corner arrests his momentum. So we'll have to wait a bit for a potential move from this pack here. But they're doing very solidly at the moment. Still occupying that last position in the top 5 for Jake Cummings. That'll be some valuable championship points on hand for him as defensive from Ian Brown. He wants to try and stymie the momentum of Zach Yurt here and give Cummings the space he needs to focus on setting fast laps.
Yeah, as they come through the hairpin section now onto the start-finish straight. Zach Yurt going a little bit wide and a little bit slower than the two drivers ahead of him. He's going to lose a little bit of time down here and not have as much draft help as he normally would have. But Jake Cummings and Ian Brown slipping away from him. Neither one of these two drivers close enough to have a move done into the first turn, so it's going to be a single file turn 1 for these three.
Yep, nice curb usage from Jake Cummings there. It's very easy to roll the GR86 over rough curbs and very high curbs indeed, like you see at a couple of places on the circuit. But managing to maintain a stable platform as he makes his way through the opening sector. And now that Ian Brown is free of Zach Yurt for a few more moments, he can focus on drafting back up to his teammate and giving him a little bit of a hand. That's the only battle in GR86 that we're seeing at the moment. Everyone else separated by more than a second each. We're still waiting to see if Brett Gardner will be able to set some quicker times than Maxime David and be able to catch his way back up to the lead. The gap sits at 2.1 seconds now, and Brett Gardner's steadily making up that time. It's defensive again from Ian Brown, though, trying to preserve 6th spot. Zach Yurt is wise to it this time and tries to go for the over-under, but he won't be able to make the move into the hairpin. We've definitely seen passes happen into this corner before, but I don't think these drivers want to try and make that happen. That was a poor run for Jake Cummings out of the hairpin, and that'll give a big advantage to Zach Yurt because Ian Brown had to check up ever so slightly.
Yeah, and now Ian Brown right all over the bumper of his teammate Jake Cummings coming through into turn 1 here. Is he going to go for a move? He's going to stay on his bumper. Zach Yurt's there. He's peaking, and they're going to stay single file.
Yep, for the time being at least. I'm sure this battle's going to explode at some point. These drivers are going so hard that I think one of them has a mistake approaching, depending on where they are on the circuit. Yeah, meanwhile,
opportunity
indeed.
for P2 in the MX5s. Peter Muller's going to get around. Oh, he's going to clip the wall.
No. And Muller, he gets stuck in the barrier. Oh, that's such a shame. He was having such a good run. He was up into 3rd, going for 2nd, and just too deep into turn 1, too wide at the apex. He hit the end of the tire bundle, and that sent him straight into the concrete.
It's just a game of inches in turn 1. It's all it takes is just a centimeter wrong, and your race is over. Peter Muller has escaped back to pit road. I think he is just going to go ahead and call it a day. It's very unfortunate for Peter. That was a great battle shaping up there.
Yeah, he was on for a fantastic result as well, even if he couldn't make the move. He was right up there with the Itasca Point cars of Chase and Fox. Brett Gardner, meanwhile, setting the fastest lap of the race and taking a solid 4/10 out of Maxime David for the lead. The gap now sits at 1.8 seconds. So we're going to be seeing that battle come to fruition again very soon. This top 5 still remaining in the same order as they did when we last left them. But Ian Brown versus Zach Yurt seems a much more likely battle than Brown versus Cummings.
And if I'm Brett Gardner, I'm not going to make the move to the outside and going into turn 1. I'm going to do what I can to go to the inside this time, force him wide.
Yeah, exactly. Brett Gardner, a very competitive driver, and he learns quite a bit from past actions. There's a reason why he's in the championship lead. Not only has he been fast and even dominant at some rounds, he's been able to make those solid moves where it counts. So now it's another battle of the teammates here for second in MX5, Michael Chase and Lincoln Fox. We in fact have unfortunately lost all of the MX5s that aren't a part of Itasca Point. So Labrosse way off in the lead at the moment. It's about another 7 seconds back to oh dear, Jake Cummings slow. That's an interesting section of the circuit to go slow at. I'm wondering if he got a slowdown at some point or if he made a mistake. He is now behind Jake Cummings. And Graham Wildman now takes the fastest lap title away from Brett Gardner as he tries to make himself a factor in the top 3 battle. Let's see if Cummings can find his way back past Yurt here. We've seen this move not come to fruition earlier between Gardner and David, but it looks like a lot more space being given here between Zach Yurt and Jake Cummings. Jake will be nice and late on the brakes. He gets ahead by the time they turn into the corner, and he carries that speed all the way through turn 1.
Yeah, great move there from Jake Cummings to hold on to P6. And I think Zach saw that he was just a little bit ahead, didn't want to push the issue right now, and lifted a little bit earlier. But still a great battle going on between these 3 drivers, having a fantastic race thus far. And speaking of losing cars, just want to point out that as expected, it's a bit of a high attrition rate. And we have 6 cars of our 20 cars out currently. And Peter Moeller has made it back out onto the track. He has entered the race again.
Oh, that's good. He ended up spending 2.5 minutes in the pits getting those repairs, but fortunately doesn't seem like much of a repair needed. So he's back out there, and we'll see if he can get himself another position later on if there's more attrition further up in the MX5s. It's always possible at Long Beach. It's a circuit that you have to nail every single corner of every single lap. Those concrete barriers are incredibly unforgiving.
Indeed they are, Reese. It's not a whole lot of give, but a whole lot of take from them walls.
Yeah, it certainly is. I also noticed that Patrick Cowgill is out in the MX5s, and he's been out for a while. I'm not too sure what happened to him. Going back to check, it actually looks like there was an incident that we missed back on lap 5 between Cowgill and Austin Bartlett Chase. Austin went deep into the hairpin and wide, and Cowgill unfortunately cleaned him up on the exit. Both of them had to go into the pits for repairs. Bartlett Chase made it back out, but Cowgill did not. And good news if you're a Matthew Wyckoff fan. The 13 minutes of repairs are now over for the number 44 Valhalla Sim Sports car, and Matthew is back out again, albeit 7 laps down on the lead. Hopefully he'll be able to get classified and get some championship points out of that. This is what happened between Cowgill and Bartlett Chase. So Cowgill turns in, but Bartlett Chase hits the wall in front of him, and that's obviously not what you want to see. The hairpin, of course, is blind, and have a look at the front left there for Patrick Cowgill. It was not moving.
Yeah, that was a broken left front suspension for sure. Very unfortunate. Just wrong place, wrong time for Patrick. Was having a great race for his season debut, but unfortunately it is not going to end well for Patrick, as these guys are still nose to tail coming down the front start finish line straight.
Yes, I suppose the front stretch, you could call it, here on Shoreline Drive. As to the inside goes Jake Cummings, and Ian Brown recognizes his teammate here higher up in the championship and faster on pace, decides to let him go and resume the rear gunner position to try and keep Zach Yurt behind.
Yeah, and up at the front, it's down to 1 second, Reese. Brett Gardner has caught Maxime David.
Yep. He certainly has. Well, that was a big slide there for Ian Brown. Not able to keep up with Jake Cummings on the exit of the corner. This battle for the top 5 and GR86 is going to go on to the end as far as I'm concerned. We've only got 10 and a half minutes left on the clock. So the time is rapidly ticking down, and not much time left for drivers to make their moves. It's interesting. Excuse me. Just after you said the gap for the lead had gone down to a second, it looked like Brett Gardner potentially made a mistake and he lost another 0.4. So it's ebbing and flowing at the top here with Maxime David, the fastest car on track that time by a 1 minute 32.5, and Austin Bartlett Chase has just had a massive crash. He is out. So it looks like Peter Moller will at least get back into the top 4 in the MX5s.
Yeah, it looks like a solid chance of that. I think Peter only 2 laps down, maybe. And then also Matthew Wyckoff, he should potentially get a couple of spots. He's already gotten past Keith for position, should get past Ewan Brown here. But here's what happened to Austin. Just carried too much speed out of the fountain corner and hit the wall head on, and unfortunately had to take it back with a tow. We'll keep an eye out, see if he gets back out on track, but currently looking like race over for Austin Bartlett Chase.
Yeah, that's a shame for Austin. Have a look at how much Jake Cummings is monstering the curbs there. He's driving super hard in the number 95. He wants to try and make up that gap, but it's massive, honestly. The gap that he's got to Jean-Sebastien Bedard, about 8.2 seconds is what he has to make up. So I think he'll be focusing more on what's going on behind him than what's going on in front of him. Looked like a slightly better exit for Ian Brown there, coming on to the back straight here at Long Beach. Not close enough to make the move coming into the final corners, but Zach Yurt sees the Tech Sport Academy teammates coming together and decides, now is my chance to get into this fight again. Brett Gardner once again goes to the fastest lap, a 132.4. That is some magnificent pace that we're seeing from him. They weren't able to go that fast in qualifying. Remember, Maxime David with a 132.5. The fuel is burning off. The tires are still nice and hot. So we're seeing some of the best laps here in the final third of the race.
Yes, we are, and only a few car lengths now separating the top 2 leaders as Brett Gardner starting to harass Maxime David for the lead.
Yeah, it's getting a bit closer as that battle for 5th continues. Now Brett Gardner is finally fought back up to where he was at the very start. There's already been contact between these two, trying to exchange positions for the lead of the race. We'll see if there's going to be more. Gardner moving out there for a bit of a look on Maxime David, and he's taking all of the curb and then some. He has got a fantastic run through this final sector, but he needs to focus on the exit of the hairpin, and he's taken a great line through there. David was narrow on entry. Gardner was able to straighten the car up and get on the power a little earlier. We're going to see the battle once again here into turn 1.
And he makes the move to the right. He's going to go for the outside again.
Ugh. Taps the wall.
He's going to nose ahead. He's going to be fully ahead before the turn.
Will Maxime David fight this? Hard on the brakes. No, he's going to yield, and Brett Gardner is your new race leader in GR86. Fantastic run it has been there from the number 51, and now he's going to focus on trying to put as much space between himself and Maxime as possible.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a good sportsmanship move there from Maxime. I think he realizes that he may have fouled up a little bit with the first time they fought together. Didn't want to press the issue that time and let Brett Gardner have it. Knows he's run him down from several seconds behind, and I think Maxime now is gonna try and return the favor and run Brett down and see if he can't retake the lead back from Brett.
Yeah, well, the the mood of the battle changes once a driver gets past and starts getting a gap. You know, Gardner will be feeling the pressure, and he'll be focusing on his apexes and trying his best to stay out of the walls. But there's some extra pressure that you have to deal with once you're passed into the lead of the race, and it's very easy for that pressure to get to you. But Gardner is used to winning in PRL, and I'm sure that he'll be able to keep the mental real estate nice and freed up here to focus on bringing this car home. 5.5 minutes to go, and a big loss of time there for Ian Brown coming into the final sector on the bottom right of the screen. Zach Yurt still right on top of him. This battle has been in lockstep for 5th place in GR86 the whole way through.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Zachary Yurt, he just has not been able to find a way around either one of these drivers. Meanwhile, Ian and Jake have swapped positions a few times throughout this battle, but Zach just not able to capitalize on it, but still right there, ready to pounce in case either one of them do happen to make a mistake.
Yeah, it's all about keeping it consistent, making sure that everything is hit perfectly, and it was the opposite of perfect there through the through the fountain section, sorry, there for Ian Brown. He's got a lot of pressure from Zachary Yurt now, and he's almost getting into the wall there. I suppose you could say that's the optimum line, but a little bit too close for comfort for the number 83. And Jake Cummings is starting to drift away from them now. Zach Yurt sees the opportunity.
Battle for the lead in the MX5. Sorry, Reese, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, yeah.
We have a 3-car battle for the lead in the MX5 class here with 4 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, looks like Pat Labrosse had a couple of poor lapses. Oh, no. Who's that's gone for a run? That's Maxime David. Maxime has gone for a spin coming out of the hairpin there at the end of the lap, and Graham Wildman has a chance to get up into second thanks to this. What happened to Maxime David? He just spun up the wheels on the exit. Oh, an elementary mistake from the number 28. And now the 53 of Graham Wildman will move through into the runner-up position in this race.
And move Graham up to P2. Just a unfortunate mistake and a rare mistake out of Maxime David, but fortunate enough for him, he did not hit anything, and he only managed to lose 1 spot.
Yeah, indeed. Fortunate that the gaps were as big as they were, but now Graham Wildman has a battle on his hands because Maxime wants to make his way up into second again. Remember, there's championship points on the line here in GR86. Maxime was only 2 points behind Matthew Wyckoff coming into this round, and Wyckoff, though he is back out on track, a long way down, so Maxime should overtake him for 3rd place in the standings coming out of this round. However, he wants those extra couple of points, that extra little I suppose breathing room when it comes to the points gaps, but he needs to be careful not to hit the curbs like that. The GR86 doesn't like rough curbs. It tends to lift the inside wheels when the car's all loaded up.
Yeah, very easy for these cars to bounce up, lose any and all stability, and cause you to ruin your day. But at the same time, you have to attack to get the fastest laps possible. You just have to be very precise in where and how you do it.
Indeed you do. Looks like the battle for second is over now. Maxime holding on to some hefty damage, I think, or at the very least damage to his confidence. Is still live on board with Ian Brown here, catching back up to Jake Cummings again. This battle for 5th in GR86 has been fantastic the whole way through, and we're still waiting for the conclusion of it. Should be 2 laps to go here, with 1:35 left on the clock, and Brett Gardner halfway through the lap in the lead. So not much time left for these guys to sort themselves out. They're coming up on Wyckoff now, who's still back out there, albeit 7 laps down on the lead.
We have a move in the MX5s, a battle going into turn 1, side by side for second place.
Oh, trying around the outside is Lincoln Fox. Oh, Michael Chase. Goodness me. No team orders at Itasca Point. This is fantastic stuff between these two. A bit too much curb there for Lincoln Fox, and he loses the momentum in the middle of the corner, and Chase gets back into second place. And once again, that's given a massive advantage to Pat Labrosse. I was going to mention before we cut away to the incident for Maxime David that Pat didn't have a very good run of laps in the middle of the race there, and that allowed Michael and Lincoln to catch back up. But now they're too involved with each other to worry about going for the win.
Yeah, not enough time left to really run down Pat at this point. They're going to be taking the white flag when they come to the start-finish line this time by. Oh,
side by side. Maxime trying on Graham Wildman, but Graham will hold strong coming through the fountain section. The Graham Wildman fan club in the YouTube chat is going to go off thanks to this. That is incredible stuff. I'm amazed that there wasn't a big crash out of that. Maxime tried round the outside of turn 1 there, tapped the end of the tyre bundle, much like we saw Peter Moller doing earlier. Fortunately, it didn't result in a spin for him, but this lap is going to be crucial in the battle for second in GR86. Brett Gardner is a long way ahead now. 10 seconds is the gap for the lead, 10.5 even, as he enters the final few corners. What a race it has been from Brett Gardner. He had his problems earlier in the battle with Maxime, but he held strong. He set those fast laps. He was the picture of consistency and speed, and he is going to be rewarded with another win on the board here, extending his championship lead. Fantastic job from Brett Gardner in the number 51. Wildman and David still battling over second place, and it looks like it's going to be very close between them. David getting a slightly better run out of the final corner, but Wildman is going to finish ahead, and Graham Wildman puts the orange 53 into second place, and it's going to be a drag race to the line for fifth between Jake Cummings and Ian Brown. Fantastic battle all the way to the line. Is Brown going to have enough here to try and move past? Oh, he gets squeezed to the line, and Brown's just going to sneak ahead.
Meanwhile, the battle for P2 in the MX5s is still hot and heavy. These guys have made several contact with each other coming through the corners, in particular here at this very spot last time around. And Michael Chase, and they're going to both run wide through the hairpin. Neither one of them are going to get a run on each other.
Pat Labrosse takes victory ahead of them. Fantastic drive from the number 69. Itasca Point Green continuing their fantastic run at the top of the standings. There's been one more change of position in GR86. Meanwhile, right at the end there, Josiah Douglas sneaking ahead of Logan Carasimo right at the line. So Brett Gardner winning by 10.2 seconds over Graham Wildman and Maxime David, with Bedard, Brown and Cummings your top 5. And that was a very interesting fight right at the end there between the 83 and the 95. Zach Yurt had to settle for 7th. Josiah Douglas will finish ahead of Logan Carasimo in the end, with Matthew Wyckoff rounding out the top 10. And then we had some very poor runnings from Keith Gwinnett, Ewan Brown, Liam Parks and Jeremy Rogers. All of those guys having big dramas over the course of this race. In the MX5s, there was a tight battle between the Itasca Point cars, with Pat Labrosse, Michael Chase and Lincoln Fox your podium. Peter Moller manages to get back into 4th despite his crash earlier, thanks to Austin Bartlett Chase's big crash. Patrick Cowgill unfortunately out with 18 laps still remaining. That's a big shame for him, but we'll move on through to chats to our drivers, and of course we have to talk to Brett Gardner first. A fantastic victory on the board here, Brett, but you had to really work for it.
Yeah, definitely did. Me and Maxime were going into turn 1 that one time, and I felt like I kind of got pushed out a little bit, and then my wheel got tapped, so I don't know what happened there. So yeah, I definitely put it in overdrive after that happened, trying to catch up.
Yeah, it sort of looked like there was contact from Maxime from the exterior views as well. But crucially, we have an absence, a noted absence from Andrew Sharp in this round. And so you guys have already used up one of your drop rounds thanks to the unfortunate non-running of week 2. So I think that's going to give you a nice bit of breathing room in the championship.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't sure where Maxime was in the standings, so I just went into the race imagining that we're all just tied for first in the points, and that way you don't think about it too much whenever you're actually in the race.
Well, you'll be happy to know that Maxime was 33 points behind you coming into this round. He should overtake Matthew Wyckoff for third coming out of this round, though. So with these last 2 rounds coming up, we go to Willow Springs next, and that's going to be a massive race indeed. A lot of high-speed running around that very classic circuit.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I've never actually driven the track before, so now I finally have a pretty good reason, I think, to give it a whirl.
Well, we wish you the best of luck for next week. Brett, thanks for joining us, and congratulations again.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Brett Gardner taking the win in GR86, and we also have Graham Wildman joining us here. Mark, it looks like you've caught up with him for a fantastic battle there.
It was very difficult, but I did manage to catch up with Graham Wildman as he was very quick out there on the track today. Managed to finish in P2. Congratulations, Graham, on another podium finish. It just seemed like you were just a little bit off pace compared to Maxime and Brett for the majority of the race. Was it a setup issue, or was it just that challenging out there for you today?
Yeah, I think just the track conditions changing from what it was in the officials to this. I think the track temp was like 30 degrees higher out here. Setup wasn't really gelling with it a whole lot, and didn't have a whole lot of practice this week, so was just trying to maximize my results, and I think I just about did that.
Yeah, well, knowing from previous races, you are definitely on pace with Maxime and Brett. Don't want to take that away from you. However, they did seem to be the class of the field this evening. But still a very strong finish from you. And we were talking with Brett just a moment ago about Windy Willow next week. Are you looking forward to that track?
That's actually a track I've never driven on before, so that'll be an interesting one for me to get ready for, along with the GTP race that I got to practice for as well. So it'll definitely be interesting. But yeah, as you said, didn't quite have the pace to hang with the top 2, and a couple unopportune slowdowns kind of put the nail in the coffin.
Well, you and Brett have that in common as far as never driving Windy Willow before, so we'll consider that a clean slate, and may the best man come out on top at Windy Willow. But Graham, we really appreciate you coming up into the booth and speaking with us, and congratulations again on P2.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Great stuff from Graham Wildman once again in this round. We also have our MX5 winner here for us for a chat, Pat Labrosse from Itasca Point Green. Well, on the broadcast feed, we're seeing just how much you were monstering the curbs at some point over this race, Pat. It was driving it a bit too hard the reason that you lost that gap for the lead in the middle of the race?
Maybe. I got a little greedy with the curb through the double left before the hairpin, and just lost the back end with a mistimed downshift. But I mean, it was I love street tracks, so it was super fun. It's always super cool to push the car right up against the edge and brush the walls, so really fun.
Yeah, certainly looked like it from our perspective. Well, only 10 points between, only 11 points between yourself and Lincoln Fox for the championship lead, with Michael Chase right in the midst of all of that. You guys are going to be in lockstep coming into Willow Springs next week.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good end to the season.
Yeah, certainly hoping for the same. Well, congratulations once again, Pat, on another fantastic run in the MX5s.
Thanks. Just want to give a shout out to Itasca Point for helping us participate in this great series.
Brilliant, with Pat Labrosse taking the win in the MX5s, and that looks like it's the last we're going to hear from the field here in the GR86 and MX5 standings. Well, you heard us. Willow Springs is going to be the penultimate round of the series next week. What a fantastic circuit that's going to be, Mark. Really love Willow Springs, but curious to note that our top two in GR86 have never driven the circuit before. I guess Willow Springs is an easy circuit to learn, but it's definitely hard to master.
Well, I can confirm that it is not an easy circuit to learn. Driving on it one time myself, I believe in a GT3 series, but it's got a lot of elevation changes and blind crests, so it is going to be a challenge, and you're surrounded by dirt on all sides. So if you get a wheel off, you're going to easily slide off and lose a ton of time. So it's not a easy track. It is definitely going to be a fun race to watch, and I cannot wait till next week to see how it all unfolds.
I can't wait either, but we have to move through to the next race on the card for tonight, Super Formula. We absolutely love this series, and they are at an incredible track tonight, Mark. We are at the Autodromo Internazionale del Mugello. Beautiful surrounds here in Tuscany at a circuit which, I'm going to make a call here, has no slow corners. I mean, turn one, obviously a big braking zone, but every single corner around here, you're carrying so much speed through, and I think this is going to be our best opportunity this season to see what these cars can really do.
Well, I gotta be honest with you, Reese. I know absolutely nothing about this track. So much so, I literally just got done downloading it just a few moments ago.
Yeah, indeed. Mugello, obviously a circuit that isn't as well known as some others in Italy, like Monza and Imola, etc., but it's certainly a fantastic track, most notably hosting the Tuscan Grand Prix in 2020, and has got a long and storied history in motorcycle racing. It is the 7th round of the championship. We go to Motegi and Zandvoort to round out the season in Super Formula, and Motegi is going to be another visit to home ground for these machines. Super Formula, of course, the top racing series in Japan, so these drivers will be very familiar with it from last season. And then Zandvoort's going to be quite a nice drive as well. In terms of the championship, well, JR Williams and Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, they have been battling hard all the way through this season, even coming together in spectacular fashion at Sebring a couple of rounds ago. They are separated by 15 points at the top of the standings. Manuel Vargas, meanwhile, teammate to Pablo, is solidly in 3rd place, with Carson Keane not quite able to catch back up to him with one DNS to his name at round 5. Mark McDonald unfortunately won't be competing in the rest of the season here, but Rodrigo Munoz, Alexander Rivera, Daniel Krenifus and Boris Angelo Vando, the last of our drivers here in the pro standings. In the AM standings, it's a bit close as well. Jeff Groff currently on top at the moment. He took the overall victory at Sebring a couple of rounds ago, thanks to the coming together between Williams and Valenzuela. And Gabriel Hopper is remaining a solid challenger to him. Again, 15 points is the gap, but Blake Ziti has had a fantastic run in the last few rounds. Only a single point separates him from Hopper for the runner-up position, and Frankie Brzezowski could certainly have something to say about that as well.
Yeah, and it won't take much for these guys, because as we saw last week with the attrition rate, it was quite high, so it could happen to anybody, and you really got to stay on your toes for, you know, trying to maintain as much points as you can.
Yeah, indeed you do. In the team's championship, well, SRTE is on top with Final Lap Sim Racing Team, 59 points, 61. Yes, that's 61 points. Still struggling to math at 9:30 in the morning here in Perth, Western Australia. But regardless, it looks like SRTE has the team's championship almost locked down at this late point in the season. A solid squad of fantastic drivers getting consistent results, and that is what wins you championships in these high-level open-wheel machines. We'll move through to the action here. The last half of qualifying is on board at the moment. And we've just gone past 11 minutes and 20 seconds past in the session. Currently, Pablo is on top and JR Williams is chasing him. That's exactly what we expected from these drivers. Only a 10th in it with Blake Ziti. Have a look at how close he is to Williams. It's only a matter of thousandths there for the overall top two.
Yeah, very tight, as always, between these two, especially the last half of this season. Within a couple of tenths, and even Blake Ziti right there for the lead of the AM class so far by a margin of 3 tenths over Frankie Brzezowski. But yeah, these guys are week in and week out within a couple of tenths of each other. If I could speak, Reese. It's just been really exciting to watch. I mean, very Formula One-esque of performances from these drivers.
Yeah, being able to push the car as hard as you can through these super fast corners here in the middle of the lap. This is some of the most spectacular. The Arrabbiata complex, this double right-hander going up the hill. Ziti trying his best to hold the car flat out going across the top of the hill and then moving into a medium speed S-bend into one of only 2 corners that could be, I suppose, vaguely classed as a hairpin around here. There's definitely going to be some passes made into this corner, and then the flat out run through this little flick to the left and then to the right, and then on your way into the final corner, diving on the exit and having to maintain as much speed as possible. Ziti a little bit wide there, but he'll be able to maintain the pace on the way up to the start-finish line with 6 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock. 1 minute 25.47, and that's only 0.02 of a second off his fastest lap at the moment.
Yeah, not too far off at the moment. Meanwhile, Gabriel Hopp, I don't even know where he is on track, but he's got to be in the last sector. It looks like he's coming down the start finish line straight here. Again, I don't know anything about this track, so I apologize, but he's gonna put in a 25.9, and that looks like that will not improve him.
Yeah, it was. It looked like it might have been an improvement there on his fastest lap, but it seems like no improvement in terms of position. Brzezowski, meanwhile, we saw how close he was to Blake Ziti for the top spots in the AM standings, and he'll try to improve on 5th overall here coming through the final corner. Long front straight here at Mugello, which moves to the right a little bit on your way down to turn 1, and it's going to be a 125.5 on that lap. It's going to be enough for him to elevate into 4th place. Carson Keane now back into 5th by only 0.03 of a second. Brett Thurman is back here, and we've seen some solid runs from him in Super Formula over the past couple of seasons. It'll be interesting to see if he can make up the 0.3, that I notice he has to get into the overall top 5.
Yeah, 0.3 doesn't seem like a lot, but in these cars, it is a very extensive amount. And it does not take a lot to lose 0.3 in these cars.
Oh, have a look at that. Gabriel Hopper with a fantastic lap just then, elevating himself onto the provisional front row. That is a great lap from the number 29. And this is something we've noticed from Gabriel over the course of the season. When it comes to qualifying, he tends to be one of the best out there. He's able to run with the likes of Uribe and Williams, but when it comes to the race, he drops off a little bit. Let's see if he can get those gremlins out of his way and be able to secure a good result here tonight.
Yeah, very strong, very fast lap from Gabriel as he quickly gets overtaken by Frankie Brzezowski. Frankie moving himself up into P2 for the time being, and he's going to quickly go into the pits.
Indeed he is. Here comes Nicholas Colander to the line. Nicholas, of course, a big fan of these fast open wheelers. We'll see if he can make any improvements. It's a 126.76 for him. That is a tenth off his fastest at the moment. With 3.5 minutes remaining in the session, there is time for at least one more lap. So he'll have to hope that his timing is absolutely on point. Williams has fallen down the order in the last few minutes thanks to those fantastic laps from Brzezowski and Hopper. Let's see if he can get back onto the front row and challenge Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, who it seems won't be making it out again in this session. So Williams has a chance potentially for provisional pole position here.
Yeah, Pablo seemingly confident with his lap time that it's not going to be beaten. Meanwhile, JR here going to do everything in his power to beat it. And looks like he's going to come up onto the start-finish straight here. What is his time going to be? It will be...
Waiting. A 125.6. Oh, that's that's off his fastest by a couple of tenths, and it's going to be difficult, I think, to get close to Uribe at this point, because looking at that pace there as Vargas improves up into 10th, that's a great lap from him, 126.1. But it's a 124.9 that everyone is trying to aim for. That's Pablo's fastest lap here, and it seems that he's pretty comfortable with that time. He hasn't emerged back out onto the racetrack, and even if he came out now, I think it would be difficult for him to have one final run here. Looks like the track is in a state right now where he doesn't think anyone else will improve. Thurman to a 126.0. Gabriel Hopper improves again, 125.2 for the number 29. The M-Class drivers doing incredibly well at the moment. JR Williams on one of his final hot laps here. Extend the entry into the corner as much as you can over those wide curbs. Not so much flat curbs, but you can certainly use them on the way into these corners, and as long as you keep two tires on those Italian flag emblazoned curbs, then you will be able to keep the lap. Nice exit from the final turn here for JR Williams. Can he join Pablo at the top of the standings? Ellis improves to 9th, and it's a 125.3 for JR Williams. That is an improvement in terms of time, but it's still 0.03 of a second off Frankie Brzezowski, so there won't be any improvement for him. Vargas makes another improvement, 126.0, and that is good enough for 9th place. Let's see if Colander can improve here at the end of a lap as well. Colander currently sitting in 14th place on a 126.6, and that's going to be the improvement he's looking for, up into 12th. A solid improvement.
Yeah, very nice, solid improvement from Nicholas Colander. Meanwhile, we got Blake Ziti going through Sector 2 at the moment. He is currently sitting in P5, about 1/10 out of P4. We'll have to wait and see what kind of a lap time he does as he heads on to the last few corners of the circuit through the fast S's here, coming up to the final corner.
Nice and late on the brakes. Carry the speed, let the car rotate, and then use the downforce to launch yourself out. 10 seconds remain on the clock. Can Blake Ziti get back up into the top 3 here? Uribe and Hopper no, oh, hello, there we go. Wow. That's what we're looking for Blake Ziti. What a great lap at the final few minutes of the session.
And meanwhile, JR Williams did go for another lap, but was unable. It looks like it actually did not count. It looks like he maybe ran wide somewhere.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Well, one of the last cars out here now, Christian Jasper, trying to break further into the top 9 places. He only has to make up 38 thousandths of a second to overtake Andrew Ellis for 8th spot. But he's going to have to find more like half a second if he wants to try and break into the top 6. The checkered flag is indeed out, and now Jasper faces the pressure of the last turn and will nail the apex, or whatever apex there is there. It seems like running a little wide is the fastest way through. And now see if he can get that crucial lap, 125.7 for him, and that will be an improvement up into 8th spot. So that's our last little bit of driving we're going to see in the qualifying session. And now it looks like the full field is just about set. We have 18 cars in the server taking the start here, with Pablo Valenzuela Uribe starting on pole position. Blake Ziti alongside him taking AM-class pole. Gabriel Hopper and Frankie Brzezowski 3rd and 4th. Brilliant stuff from them. JR Williams, he wanted to be a little closer to Pablo than that, rounding out the top 6 with Brett Thurman. Carson Keane and Christian Jasper on the 4th row, with Andrew Ellis and Manuel Vargas 9th and 10th. Then we have Victor Couto and Nicholas Colander taking up row 6. Marco Janssen and Brett Punkari 13th and 14th. The second illicit vices car of John Krauser starting alongside Hugo Galaz for Backfire Motorsports. Neil Alexander and Barry Cochran, they are regulars in this series, but they start on the final row of the grid. Very difficult to get the pace up here at Mugello.
Yeah, and from what I saw in qualifying, it looks like a very fast, very fun, and very terrifying circuit. So when these guys are all grouped up these first few laps, I would be terrified if I was in the cockpit of one of these rocket ships. Meanwhile, I got to mention JR Williams here. He's going to be starting 5th. And I think that's the lowest I've seen JR start all season long. I don't remember him starting anywhere outside of the top 3 off the top of my head. So it's going to be a challenging race for JR, especially on this start, because he has 3 amateur drivers between himself and his championship contender and rival, Pablo Valenzuela, who is on pole.
Indeed, that's the position he sits in there, 5th on the grid. This is going to be a tough one for sure. But it all depends on how you can nail the launch in these cars. You know, I think back all the way to the very first PRL Super Formula race at Road Atlanta last season, and how we had multiple drivers having issues getting the cars off the line. There's a lot of power at hand in these cars. Turbo inline 4-cylinder producing in excess of 600 to 700 horsepower, and you get 60 extra horsepower thanks to the overtake button. We'll be seeing drivers use that quite a bit. 200 seconds worth of extra power you can use throughout the race. You can hold it down for as long as you want, but once you're off the button, you got to wait another 2 minutes to use it again. The revs are going to rise very shortly. Still 30 seconds on the timer before we officially get things going. But evidently drivers just testing the response of their throttle pedals there to make sure that they get it all done. Revs rise, and PRL Super Formula round 7 is go. And that's a pretty good start from Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, but JR Williams is going to absolutely nail the run off the line. Already into 3rd place, trying around the outside of Gabriel Hopper. Defensive, meanwhile, from Blake Ziti. He tries to keep everyone behind him, side by side with Williams through the first turn, but Pablo Valenzuela Uribe already streaking away from everyone as we get our run through the first couple of corners. Difficult to run side by side through here. There'll be a lot of aero disturbance happening for all the cars here. Marco Janssen losing out to Brett Punkari there. It looked like Marco just had a poor run out of the first couple of corners, but he will try to get that momentum back there. Still up 2 positions from where he started. Brett Thurman had a disastrous getaway from the line. He's down 8 positions into 14th as they come into Arrabbiata.
Everybody single file, keeping it clean thus far. No one making anything, no crazy moves at the moment, as we see Brett Punkari on his VR setup, turning his head to gather up the apexes of the corners. The wheel very stiff, shaking left, right. It does not look like a smooth ride out there from Brett Punkari or any of these drivers, as these steering wheels are shaking with a bunch of force feedback in the wheels.
Yeah, Brett running the Thrustmaster direct drive wheel, and That's going to certainly be putting a lot of force through his hands. Meanwhile, here comes Williams already on overtake here as he passes Gabriel Hopper for second into turn 1, and Hopper is going to try and fight this. He moves to the inside there and makes contact with JR Williams. They're around. Blake Ziti gets cleaned up as well.
And JR is going to be fuming after that one. As is Blake Ziti. And I'm sure Gabriel's not going to be too happy with himself after that one as well. Oh, he's going to pull off to the side. Apparently there was too much damage for him to continue at the moment. He's going to take a tow. Meanwhile, JR Williams at the back of the field continuing on, as is Blake Ziti, both occupying the final 2 spots in the current running order.
Yeah, that's a shame there between Williams and Hopper. JR had the move done, and oh dear, that's some big offs there further back in the field. We'll see the aerial view here. Hopper late on the brakes here. Williams tried to give him room, but Hopper was just too deep, and Ziti had nowhere to go.
Yeah, it almost looked like at first JR thought he was fully clear of Gabriel, started to come down and take the line away, then realized Gabriel was still there and had to jerk back to the left a little bit. Kind of caught Gabriel off guard a little bit, and I think that's maybe what led to the incident. I'm not going to speculate too much on that, but just an unfortunate situation for our top runners there.
Yeah, it's sad, really, because we've lost 3 of our drivers who would have been challenging Pablo Valenzuela Uribe for the win, but it looks like Pablo's not going to have any pressure behind. Side by side between Andrew Ellis and Christian Jasper, who now find themselves in 4th and 5th, Victor Couto making his way up ahead of them. Couto now has the most positions gained in the field, equal with Brett Pancari. They're both up 8 spots, but I think that Ellis and Jasper are a bit quicker than Couto over a single lap, so we should see that elevate into a 3-way battle for 3rd. Carson Keane a long way ahead of them, and he will have not much pressure from behind, I'd wager.
Yeah, and Frankie Brzezowski down 10 spots from his starting position as well. I'm not entirely sure if he just didn't have a bad start on the initial start of the race, or if he maybe had a little mistake in an off track that cost all that time. We can go through and look at a later time, but right now this battle with Christian Jasper and others going to be heating up here shortly.
Oh, it certainly is. I just went back and looked at what happened to Brzezowski myself, and it looks like he just had to check up when the incident happened between Hopper and Williams, and he had to pick his way through as Blake Ziti spun up ahead of him. So that's the reason why Brzezowski lost all of those places. We're going to be seeing some good racing here as Andrew Ellis finds himself alongside Victor Couto, and up the inside of turn 1 he goes, and that will be move done for Andrew Ellis up to P3. Good stuff.
Meanwhile, Frankie was 3 wide going into I believe the first turn of the circuit, with JR Williams on his left and Hugo Galaz on his right, but they are down to 2 wide right now. And JR Williams is going to squeeze on through and continue his recovery drive.
Yes, back up into 13th now for JR, and he's looking to get maximum points here. This is the view on board from Ellis of that move, and it was a very tight move indeed. He had to take advantage of the concrete across the pit lane exit there to get the move done. Apologies for the little cough there. Evidently, my lungs aren't agreeing with what I want to do tonight. Jasper, meanwhile, has found his way past Couto as well, up into 4th place. So Victor starting to drop like a stone there in the Hello Kitty liveried machine. He's going to have a big amount of pressure from Marco Janssen and Brett Pancari pretty shortly.
And this battle for P4, still the hottest battle at the moment. Got really about 6 cars that could be considered in this battle, all the way back to Brett Thurman in 10th, as we have a move.
Whoa, Couto coming back.
Couto is not done yet.
Whoa, look at that. Carries the speed through the corner around the outside. He has the inside for the S-bend of turn 2 and 3, and he'll make his way back past past Christian Jasper. What a great move that was from Victor Couto. I thought for a second he was going to start dropping, but no, he's got the fire in his belly. He wants to fight back.
Yeah, he took that rock you said he was dropping and threw it in your face.
Yeah, I'll go and have to take a visit to the emergency room after this, I think. In any case, let's see what he can do to keep Jasper behind, because I think this battle is far from over. Jasper's pushing so hard on the exit of Arrabbiata. He's got to be careful not to exceed the incident limit here. Mugello has quite a bit of space and is very lenient on track limits, but if you keep pushing like that, you could look at getting a drive-through at some point in the race.
Yeah, and it could happen extremely fast on a circuit like this where every corner seems to be a high-speed corner, and you could very easily track just ever so slightly wide and pick up those X's very fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Pablo Valenzuela Uribe is far and away the fastest car on track right now. In the lead, he's facing no pressure at all. Seeing from... that's Janssen behind, some good push-to-pass usage, and now Jasper trying here on Victor Couto. He almost had a chance there to do an over-under, but it's very hard to line up the exit of the first turn there. You have to stay tight on the exit to open up the entry to the S-benders. Into this corner here, Manuel Vargas. Oh, my Lord, Brett Thurman and John Krauser coming together. Krauser's car is destroyed. Looks like he just lost the rear end on the exit of the corner there. And unfortunately, Brett Thurman, an innocent victim in all of that.
Oh my goodness. Couple of cars headed to the junk heap after that one. Oh man, that's really unfortunate. Looks like just got a little wide into the dirt and at the same time tried to gas up, and the car just shot right across the path of Brett Thurman.
Yeah, big shame indeed. Well, we'll get another view of that. Just caught the grass, and oh man, Thurman had absolutely nowhere to go. This is the issue when you're racing in such fast and darty cars as these. Something happens in front of you, and it's a car right in front of you. You do not have time to react, especially around a circuit as fast as this.
Yeah, the faster you go, the less time you have to react to an incident, and yeah, that right there just shows you how quickly things can change. Meanwhile, a little bit of a wheel tap almost for our two contenders for P4 here. Christian Jasper and Victor Couto still going at it.
Yeah, this is starting to get a little bit ugly between these two. Jasper is desperately trying to find his way back past, but Couto not willing to give him an inch. This is certainly entertaining from the spectator's perspective, but I got to wonder how the drivers are feeling, how stressed they'll be having to fight over fourth. It is a four-way battle here, effectively. We have Janssen and Poncari up behind them. Meanwhile, Blake Ziti making his way into the pits, obviously carrying some damage from the earlier incident he got involved in there between the 13 of JR Williams and also Gabriel Hopper. 11.4 seconds stopped in the lane. Looks like that will be some damage repair taken there for Blake. And he'll come back out in 15th place, still on the lead lap, but running dead last at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like he's put on a fresh pair of boots as well, just for extra added security measures.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty smart thing to do, because so many fast corners around this place, the tyres will go through an absolute ringing around here. So, yeah, I think tyre preservation is going to be a big factor in the later stages of this race. We don't usually see pit stops in Super Formula, and you're certainly not going to see drivers stopping for fuel. These cars are unrefuelable, so you better hope that you have enough fuel in the car to make it to the end of the race.
Yeah, meanwhile, speaking of JR Williams just a moment ago, he has recovered up to P9 so far, or excuse me, P8.
Oh, Vargas is dropping.
Or is that's more, is that more connection issues from Vargas?
I don't think so. I think that was a spin for Manuel Vargas as JR Williams was making his way through. Oh, Vargas just lost it by himself.
That's very unfortunate. Same spot as the previous incident, I do believe, possibly. But anyways, what I was saying about JR is that he's recovered up to P8 so far, and he's only about 4 or 5 seconds behind this battle for 5th. So he will be on the scene of this battle, if it continues as crazy as it is, very shortly.
Yep, here's Victor Couto and Christian Jasper at the head of that fight. They hold on to 5th and 6th for the time being, and Jasper right behind, hoping for a better exit here. Will he be able to use the overtake button? Certainly Victor will, but it looks like Christian trying to save it for later. The slipstream seems very strong down the front straight, and so Jasper's going to move to the outside here, try his best to get a good run through turn 1, but Victor Couto just too far ahead now, and we'll just about see JR Williams popping into the rear of the frame very shortly. Williams's last lap was a 1:27.2. Compare that to a 28.0 for Victor Couto at the front of this pack. JR's going to catch these guys up in a lap or two's time.
Yeah, it won't be long now before JR gets there and enjoys, well, I say enjoy this fight through the top 7 positions here. But, you know, after everything that happened in turn 1 with that incident between himself and Blake Ziti and Gabriel Hopper, he's only 17 seconds out of the lead, so that's not as bad as it could have been, but easily could have been a lot worse. Could have had damage, and very fortunate that neither Blake Ziti or JR Williams had significant damage from that incident.
Yeah, the thing is, though, these drivers, actually both Uribe and Williams, will have both used up their drop round, and they've had some difficult results in other places as well. So what this means is if things stay as they are, no matter how far up Williams makes it, he is going to lose out in the championship battle, as now Christian Jasper back up the inside of Victor Couto will finally get the move done into turn 1. There was a big fight back from Couto there, and I think this battle's still going to be far from over. Every time Couto gets past, it seems that he doesn't waste any time trying to build up that momentum again.
No, not much time wasted at all, and both of these drivers just not willing to let go an inch. They both want to be in the front of this battle, and unfortunately all it's doing is slowing them down and letting faster cars behind them catch them. And then, meanwhile, just ahead of Christian Jasper, only a couple seconds, is Andrew Ellis. They are slowly reeling him down, even with all the battling.
Yeah, they definitely are. Ellis set times that are pretty close to what we've been seeing from this 4th place battle. And look at JR, he is right on the back of them now. He's catching up to Brett Pancari. Williams set the fastest lap on the last lap of the race, and that was a solid 3-4 tenths faster than the cars at the rear of this battle pack. So now JR has the chance. Pancari's going to respond and use a bit more of his extra power to try and get past Marco Janssen. Is this going to be successful here for Brett? He moves to the inside of turn 1 and late on the brakes here, but look at the run around the outside from Marco. I love turn 1 at Mugello. It allows you to, even if you're on the outside, still have a chance at keeping that position. And Pancari, you saw his head jerk up a little bit there. Looks like he was just having a look in the mirrors there to see JR Williams right on the back of him now.
Yeah, this is the first race I've ever witnessed here at Mugello, and I gotta say, I'm very impressed and loving what I'm seeing. It's made for some exciting racing, some very bold moves, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're going to be doing a couple of laps around here in your spare time later on in the week, Mark, because, yeah, Mugello's one of my favorite tracks, and for very good reason. It's just, it is a classic circuit through and through. It's been around since the 1970s, and it has been the host of some fantastic motorcycle races over the years, to say nothing of some very dramatic car races as well. Look at this. They are all together now, and Williams is going to try at the inside of the final final corner. Pancari gives him room here, but will Brett be able to round up the outside run here? Williams does not have the benefit of the slipstream, but he is going to use some of that extra power to try and keep the move going here. And remember, the outside line is not the end of the world at turn 1. JR's probably going to get it done here unless Pancari can be incredibly brave on the way in. It looks like Williams is going to get it done.
Yeah, I think Pancari there knew his fight was not with the thoroughbred of JR Williams. Meanwhile, I do want to point out real quick, Reese, a few of our drivers are nearing that incident limit. JR Williams is one of them. Him and Victor Couto both have 9 incident points, and we're not even at the halfway point of this race. But also want to mention Blake Ziti is at 8.
So ZT is starting to approach it, but I think he'll be driving cleanly to the end. He shouldn't be in too much danger of exceeding the incident limit, but yeah, as you said, quite a few drivers here in danger, and we're not even halfway through this race.
Yeah, and both the current drivers that are in danger are in the top 7. And could have significant implications on the outcome of this race.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, we shall see if JR Williams can make up another spot here. He's behind Marco Jansen now on recharge for the overtake. That's the slow blinking green light that you see above his head. Well, it doesn't matter that he doesn't have that extra power on hand. Still able to get the slipstream and move around the outside to turn 1, but he loses out just a little bit there in the mid corner. He'll be able to draw up on the exit, and oh my lord, Jansen is not willing to let this one go, but hard on the throttle around the outside. Williams is going to just get it here and move just ahead. Jansen had to lift off there, and Pancari almost running into the back of him.
Yeah, that was a bold statement there from JR Williams saying, I'm taking this line, get out of my way. And a very dangerous move because that was not a lot of room of clearance between the 2 cars.
No, certainly not. And it looks like Marco now struggling to get some consistency back there. He was running a little bit wide at the exit of Arrabbiata. So keep your eyes peeled for any further developments in the battle between Jansen and Pancari. That little bit of battling has cost all 3 of these guys time to Victor Couto and Christian Jasper up ahead of them. Jasper has driven away from Couto now. Looks like Victor, despite his heroics before, has not been able to hold on to the pace. And see how Pancari works the wheel through the final corner. He's got a lot of pace on board that car and stands to gain 7th place. He's up 6 spots. Same for Jansen, same for Victor Couto and Andrew Ellis. Those are the drivers that have moved the furthest forward in this race so far.
And I love this onboard shot of Brett Pancari. He has quite the assortment of sports memorabilia in the background there. You notice the Mortal Kombat up on the top shelf, the Castrol GTX bottle, and then the sports banners on the wall. I love that shot.
Yeah, I do indeed. It's a fantastic place to have a sim rig, and Pancari been a consistent competitor in PRL Super Formula over this 2nd season. He certainly never shied away from a chance at a battle, and has had some good results this season to show for it. Well, we'll see if he can make his way past Marco Jansen at some point. Andrew Ellis, meanwhile, has been holding on to 3rd for quite some time, but Christian Jasper is starting to catch up to him. Jasper, it looks like, took 10th and a bit out of Ellis on the previous lap. So Ellis now, despite his massive gains early on, being able to stay out of the way of those incidents, is rapidly losing out to Jasper here, and Christian could be looking at a top 3.
And we got JR making a move on Victor Couto as we speak, coming down the start-finish straight into turn 1. JR to the outside. Couto going to be later on the brakes. JR going to back off, shoot for the over-under, but the line isn't there for it. And he's going to have to back out of it and try and set up a move somewhere else. Great defense from Victor Couto there.
Yeah, very good defense indeed. Is certainly proving a tough customer when it comes to getting passed by people. So, yeah, Williams will have to wait now a whole other lap for that chance. In cars like this, turn one is the only real overtaking spot where you truly stand a chance of getting past the car in front. Everywhere else you have to rely on a mistake to get ahead, and Victor Couto, it seems, has been able to get some very nice runs over the course of the rest of the lap here. So let's see what JR can do here as they pass by the MotoGP long lap and well, set up another run. Coming down the start-finish straight, looks like he has the overtake button primed, but so does Victor Couto. What's this battle going to be like once they make their way to the braking zone?
Yeah, both drivers getting a good run out of there. JR with a better run using that push to pass, and Victor on the recharge still, so not able to mount a defense. But he's going to use that slipstream to try and fight back, and he's going to shoot it into the outside. Is he going to carry the momentum? No, he's not. JR Williams is going to shoot up to P5.
Nicely done, and a very solid attempt at a fight back there from Victor Couto. All of that fighting has brought Janssen and Pancari back into it, and Pancari is closer to Janssen than he's been in the past. Hasn't quite been able to keep the momentum up through the S-bend, though. At the end of this lap, we'll be halfway through the race, so there's still plenty of time for those moves to be made.
Yes, plenty of time left indeed. Not yet time to panic and make any crazy moves, unless you're like me and just like making crazy moves because it's fun. But but yeah, Brett Pancari having an excellent race here, currently in P8, up 6 positions from where he started, as is Marco Jensen in P7, and Victor Couto up up 5 positions from where he started as well. All these drivers managing to have good starts here. Of course, a couple of cars did get into it early on. That did help, but still, a position gained is a position gained.
That it is. And we'll see if a position is gained for Brett Pancari here in the slipstream of Marco Janssen. Moves to the outside of the opening corner, and he's ahead by the time they get into it, and he's going to get on the throttle, straighten it up, and complete the move coming into turn 2, or will he? Ooh, goodness, Marco is fighting hard here to keep the position, and Pancari almost loses it.
Yep, Pancari fighting himself even harder than he was with Marco. That car was all kinds of wobbly sausage going through the corners there, but managed to keep control of it and did not take anyone out, so that is the important thing. But he will need to focus on cooling those tires down, as they likely got extremely hot in that sequence of corners.
Yeah, indeed. There's going to be a lot more to fight for towards the end of this event. See if Pancari can get some consistency back here. All of that hard work that he did to get alongside Janssen has come to naught for now, but he does look like the faster of the 2 cars. And looking at Victor Couto as well, it seems like Marco is going to have a chance to get past him here on the start-finish straight as well. They both have the extra power primed, and it's a very late apex here for Marco Janssen, and he gets on the extra power now. 60 more horsepower at his disposal, and there's a response from Victor Couto, but it's come a little too late. Alongside they come into the braking zone. Can Marco Janssen get the move done here? Couto once again flinging it as deep as he dares into the first turn, but it looks like Janssen is going to be as far ahead as he likes, and into P6 now for the number 7.
Yeah, Marco Janssen from on the defense a lap prior to on the attack this lap, and getting the job done on Victor Couto, move Marco up to P6. Great job from Marco there, and Victor Couto here just following a little bit back of Marco now that he has gotten past. I don't know if he's just trying to save tire or he's just struggling for pace at the moment, but Brett Pancari is all over the gearbox of Victor Couto at the moment.
Yep, making up some good time here. Oh, Man, just as we say that, once again, another little mistake there from Pancari. But like you say, very good catch indeed. We've seen moves like that or incidents like that turn into disaster for a few drivers in this race so far. But Pancari is right on it.
Yeah, Pancari with the cat-like reflexes to be able to maneuver that car back into a straight line and not let it spin out of control, but lost a bunch of time to Victor. He's going to have to work on getting that back now. Looks like he's on the push to pass coming down the front stretch, and he's going to edge a little bit closer to Victor going into turn one. He's going to get within a few car lengths. Going to swing out wide into turn one. Going to lose a little bit of momentum because of it. But, God, he's still just sliding that car through these corners. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's driving very hard, isn't he? We saw Christian Jasper there almost line up a move on Andrew Ellis for third and for the AM-class lead. Look at how much momentum JR Williams has continued to maintain here. He is up into fifth, and he could end up passing both of these guys and get into third place overall. And that would be crucial. He doesn't want to lose out too much to Pablo at this point in the season. We're only going to have 2 rounds to go after this. So now is the time when you want to be getting those results on the board, and Williams with the massive fight back here. He's finally up into the position where he started after his issues earlier, and I'm amazed that he didn't get a ton of damage from that incident that we saw with Gabriel Hopper. Crucially, I think just a little tap to the wheels there, so little if any damage there to the number 13, and he's right in the slipstream now as Jasper tries once more to catch up to Ellis. They are both on the extra power. Williams will be aware of that, and he'll be saving it up for a big move.
Yeah, absolutely. JR with a fantastic recovery drive thus far. And like you said, he's going to wait to use that push to pass to where he can try and take advantage of it. Doesn't need it at the moment because he is just outright faster on pace than both of the drivers ahead currently. And I just want to point out that in P2, Carson Keen's last lap was half a second slower the previous lap than JR Williams. So with JR only 11 seconds behind Carson Keen with 16 minutes to go, I honestly wouldn't put P2 out of the realm of possibility for JR Williams, however, being extremely difficult to achieve.
Yeah, well, you got to remember these guys are fighting hard, but Carson Keen here is currently 10 seconds, 11 seconds even ahead of this battle. So I think even if JR Williams was able to unlock some Senna-like pace, probably wouldn't be able to pass Carson Keen unless Carson makes a mistake. But now he is in with a chance here on the push to pass. It's recharging for Christian Jasper, and JR's going to move past him. Will he be able to get Andrew Ellis as well? Almost 3 wide on the way into turn 1. Williams has to go super wide there. He's going to line up the move on Ellis as well. 2 positions in 1 corner for JR Williams. What a move.
And that is exactly the way JR Williams cooked it up in his head. 2 for 1 special in turn 1 and move JR Williams up into the podium. That's P3 for JR Williams. Now he can set his sights ahead on Carson Keen, who is now 12 seconds ahead. Like I said, extremely difficult, but with JR's pace, I don't want to throw it out entirely of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. But JR's going to have to rely on quite a few things falling his way. So the fight will continue between Ellis and Jasper. They have been doggedly fighting with each other over what was 3rd place, now 4th. And we'll see what Jasper can do here coming out of the final corner. I think that his overtake button should be recharged now, so he'll come on into the final apex, and we'll wait to see the dash light up. There we go. Overtake on. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if there's any response from Andrew Ellis as well. Getting a little bit more speed up. You see the gap get eliminated there coming into the braking zone for turn 1. But Jasper's just not close enough.
Yeah, both drivers were on push to pass there, but you just saw the extra oomph of the draft with Andrew Ellis cutting a hole through the air for Christian Jasper to slipstream through. Meanwhile, we got Victor Kudo and Marco Jensen back at it. This fight has been going on all race long, and it is not ending anytime soon.
Yeah, Kuto having to give Jansen room on the inside there, coming through the S-bends, and this is bringing Frankie Brzezowski, who's also been on a fantastic recovery, right up into the battle. Brzezowski already making his way past Brett Pancari, and now stands a chance here as Victor Kuto once again losing a position to Marco Jansen, but could probably line up a move later on and get it done.
Marco Jensen locked up a tire, went a little wide in that corner. Victor Kudo is going to take advantage and go to the outside.
Once again, Victor Kuto, as soon as he is moved down a position, he says, okay, something's going to happen and I'm going to get back past. And that's exactly what happened there. He is ahead coming into the final corner, but now we have a spanner in the works in the form of Frankie Brzezowski. He tries up the inside of Kuto, a little bit of overlap there at the midpoint of the corner, and he's immediately on push to pass. Let's see what he can do to get it done here. Oh my goodness, the weaving from all of these guys. Kuto does not want to lose out here to Marco Jansen, Andrew Ellis and Christian Jasper. Oh my God, 4 cars at once going into the first corner here, and Jansen will keep it round the outside of Kuto, but a little bit of slipping and sliding on the exit of the corner means he has to yield once again, and ultimately no change in the relative positions of the cars, but man, that was a lovely little bit of action.
That was insanity at its finest. And Marco Jansen, with a little bit of a wheel tap from Victor Kudo in turn 1, had to get out of the throttle a bit. And Brett Pancari came in there at the last second to make it a 4-way battle, but wisely backed out of it. Because that would have been a lot of cars in not a lot of space at the very same time, and could have ended very badly.
Yeah, certainly could have. Well, we are going to have 8 laps remaining when Pablo Valenzuela Uribe gets across the line next. That's still plenty of time for these moves to be sorted out. Frankie, obviously, with some great pace, but unable to take advantage of it thanks to the slicing and dicing ahead of him.
Yeah, Brett Pancari with some more tank slapper issues has fallen back a second from Frankie at the moment. So he's going to need these guys to battle it out like crazy again so he can catch back up. But he's a little too far back to be able to catch the draft as Frankie Pekrowski closing in on Marco Jansen once again, but too far to make a move this time by.
Yeah, he's going to have to build up the pace again over the next couple of laps to really vault around the outside of turn 1 at this stage. So, that's the way things are at the moment. Ellis and Jasper still fighting hard over 4th. Kuto still holding on to 6th. And it looks like we might be seeing a move shortly between Barry Cochran and Blake Ziti all the way at the back of the field. Ziti, of course, having to take that pit stop for damage earlier. And he's been steadily working his way up to Cochran and will try and grab 13th place out of this. Any points count, but Blake Ziti would have been hoping for a lot more tonight.
Yeah, definitely had a lot more points on the table for him this evening.
That's Jansen who's gone for a spin. That has completely changed the face of the fight there. And, well, Ziti ultimately gets past Cochran and up into 13th place. But what on earth happened to Marco Jansen? Looks like Brett Pancari has also lost touch with Kuto and Brzezowski at the head of that battle for 6th. And, once again, Jansen, not the first time we've seen that happen to a car in this race. Just too much power on the exit of the corner. And Andrew Ellis, it looks like, will lose out there to Christian Jasper. And will go for a slide on the exit of turn 1 as well. Looks like Ellis has been working his tyres very hard to keep the position, but now that he's lost it, the tyres have given up.
Yeah, and that's not surprising with how a lot of these cars are just slipping and sliding like crazy through these corners. I mentioned Brett Pancari before because he's been having those issues as well. But now Victor Kudo well within sight of Andrew Ellis.
Hello, Kat. We will see if Victor Couto will be able to get past Ellis here, but Couto has to deal with Brzezowski first. This is going to be interesting indeed. Frankie still down 3 from where he started, and I don't think he's going to be gaining much more in these last 6 laps, as Ellis has another issue there. He's going to fall behind all of them now. Seems like Ellis's rear tires just have nothing left in them.
No, they certainly don't, and I do apologize, folks. My cat Loki is wanting to join us here in the commentary booth, but Ellis really struggling for rear grip at the moment, as you just saw in the replay there. But managing to keep it clean and keep it going at the moment. So Marco Jensen will be eager to catch up to Andrew here as quickly as possible.
Yeah, let's see if he can get it done, as Couto and Brzezowski now the only 2 cars within a second of each other on the circuit. As Brzezowski tries to nail the apexes of these S-bends, monitoring the pace of JR Williams, and he's run consistently faster than Carson Keane over the course of the race, but hasn't been able to make up the gap here. Williams still sits at about 11 seconds behind Carson for second place at the moment. I do apologize for my breath evidently not being in sync with my voice, but Brzezowski here through Arrabbiata carrying some great speed, and he's late on the brakes. He's not quite hitting the apex curbs, but he's still managing to maintain the speed, which is arguably more important in these downforce cars. It's something that I've noticed, especially in Formula One over the last few years. The drivers tend not to take the geometric fastest line through a corner. They run a little bit wide at the apex, but because they're carrying more speed, it means that there's more air flowing over their wings, and it's giving them a little more downforce, so they end up being faster.
Yeah, exactly right. That's just the way the physics works on these Formula cars. The faster you go, the more downforce, meaning more grip through the corners. So able to carry that little bit extra bit of speed, something you would not see in a GT3 car, or even especially a GR86 or MX5 car. As Frankie gets a lot of time gained right there, as Victor catches the curb and has to slow up to gather the car back up.
Yeah, the exit curbs here can be brutal. If you've loaded up the car too much over one of them, then that'll create a lot of instability, and we've seen that end badly for quite a few drivers tonight, including Marco Jansen just a few laps ago. So now the fight is on. Can Victor Couto maintain his position in the top 5, or can Frankie Brzezowski pass him here for second place in the AM class? Our top 3 all pros, and then the rest of them being AM class cars. There was only one other pro class car in the race, and that was Manuel Vargas, who has not emerged from the pits since his incident earlier. Real shame to see that Vargas, Thurman, Krauser and Hopper have not been able to make it even past, I'd say, a quarter race distance at this stage. 4 laps to go for these drivers, and the push to pass is on for Frankie Brzezowski. Can he get it done finally on Victor Couto? Victor's been known for fighting it hard coming into turn 1, diving in late on the brakes, but the momentum is there for Frankie Brzezowski, and he moves into the top 5.
Yeah, Victor looking to take a different line, trying to get a little bit of momentum in his favor. Was not able to get it through that series of corners there. But yeah, Frankie with a magnificent drive through turn 1. Didn't go too wide, so he was able to keep the momentum up and complete the pass over Victor. And this has been really the fight of the race, the entire race. The battle for P5 here. So we're gonna keep it right here, as it is the closest battle on track. Everyone's just kind of spread out 4, 5, 6 seconds apart from each other. But here with Victor Couto and Frankie Brzezowski, this is where the action's at.
It certainly is, and you never know, Frankie might be able to haul up a move and grab the AM class lead on Christian Jasper. There's only 5 and a bit seconds between them now for the lead, and now that Brzezowski is not following a car, he's got some clear air ahead of him, we'll be able to get a clue as to his real pace here. So let's just keep an eye on Frankie, see what he can do. Obviously breaking the draft. Victor Couto.
Push to pass.
Oh, he's deep. Very deep indeed in turn 1. Victor, obviously one of the most confident on the brakes in the entire field, but it's not going to net him any gains here, and he's going to go for a spin across the curb into the wall, and Victor Couto is out.
Game over for Victor. Oh, he was having such a great race going there. He's still sitting there on the track, I'm sure just in disbelief. He has finally towed the car back to pit road.
Such a shame.
Real.
Yeah. That's huge there for Victor Couto. He had a very spirited drive, but unfortunately the exit curb there from turn 3 grabbing him and flinging him into the wall as it was threatening to do the entire race. So Victor Couto, I think finishing more than 75% of the race, and so should be classified for points, but regardless, it's not going to be many points, and it could have been a lot more. I mean, it's just a shame to see when that happens, because you have a driver going for a massive exit from a corner like that, but you have the slightest bit of instability across these curbs. Mugello's one of the circuits that has 3D curbs on iRacing now, and that obviously has its benefits as well as its drawbacks. A big drawback for Victor Couto there, whose front suspension is now completely destroyed. That car was not going to make it back to the pits under its own power. As I saw, was that a little bit of smoke ahead of our leader? Oh, I think it might have just been dust on the racetrack. It's difficult to tell at the best of times around here, but Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, the final lap sim racing team number 23, has been the class of the field in this race. Qualified on pole position, and thanks to all the drama behind him, has led from lights to flag so far, and it's going to be the white flag potentially here for Pablo Valenzuela. No, it's lap 31.
Yeah, I think
yes.
I got one more time around for the white flag, showing on my timing and scoring board. But yeah, the car just ahead of Pablo here is Blake Zede. He'll be catching him up to lap him. And you mentioned dust on the track. I wouldn't be surprised if it was tire smoke, because Blake does have a tendency to lock up his front tires through corners.
Yeah, all right. Well, there's always potential for that, but I think Pablo's just going to try and keep his distance from here. He knows that he's solidly in the lead and there's no pressure from behind. He's 12.2 seconds ahead of Carson Keene. So he, yeah, he can't afford to push at this point. Might as well just bring it home.
I mean, I can already see it on the timing board right now. He's just taking it easier right now. He's let Carson catch up to him by almost a second right now. But yeah, Pablo knows it's almost over. He just needs to get to the finish line, get to that checkered flag, and coming through the final corner here, he will go up the hill and see the white flag this time. Barney's looking for him. Got to get that sun out of your eyes, Barney.
Sun very low in the sky. Indeed. There we go. The final lap of the race does begin for Pablo Valenzuela Uribe. And now we have another battle forming. Andrew Ellis, who, remember, had those couple of spins after getting passed by Christian Jasper, now stands a chance to get one on Marco Janssen, who has also had trouble keeping the rear end under him. Which of them is going to keep the car the most stable in this final lap?
Yeah, it's the battle of the rear tires here between Marco and Andrew Ellis. Looks like Ellis is going to line up a slipstream here for the start-finish line straight. Will he get on to push to pass? Oh, he is in the red on push to pass. He may not have any left.
Yeah, remember, if the light is red above the driver, it means they have less than 20 seconds worth of extra power remaining, and so Andrew's probably just waiting for a better opportunity. He doesn't want it to run out right now.
It runs wide.
Yeah, a little bit of a lock up there for Marco. That's going to give Andrew a slight advantage here. It's so difficult once you've had a slide in this section to get the rhythm back. But for the time being, looks like Marco is safe. Through the final corner comes Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, and he's on course to capping off an incredible season in Super Formula. He will extend his championship lead with the win here in round 7. Another beautiful drive from the number 23, and what a gap it is. Ultimately, nearly 13 seconds over Carson Keane, who will be very happy with that second place. JR Williams ultimately going to finish in 3rd place. Our AM class leader is Christian Jasper, and it's been a fantastic drive from him as well. He's faced a lot of dramas, and we don't usually see him up this far, but it's going to be a well-earned victory for the Go Squadra 444.
Yeah, great drives by these guys. Carson, Pablo, really great recovery for JR, and then Christian and Frankie to round out your top 5 here.
Indeed. Looks like 11 cars will ultimately go to the finish here. Blake Ziti is already done there, finishing in 12th overall. Hugo Galaz and Neil Alexander will be your last 2 cars to cross the line. And, well, actually, my timing was showing Blake Ziti as having finished, but apparently not. He's going to make his way through here and end what was a very difficult race for him, but he plugged away and he didn't give up until the very end, and that's exactly what we like about Blake Ziti. He never gives up. So that's the end of the race then. In PRL Super Formula Round 7 at Mugello, nearly 13 seconds does Pablo Valenzuela Uribe take victory by. Carson Keane and JR Williams are your podium. A fantastic recovery from JR after the early crash with Gabriel Hopper. Christian Jasper, Frankie Brzezowski and Brett Punkari are your AM class podium. Marco Janssen and Andrew Ellis could have been up there, but the rear ends of their cars disagreed. Nicholas Colander, a quiet race for him, up into 9th spot with Hugo Galaz rounding out the top 10. Neil Alexander and Blake Ziti, the last 2 finishers on the lead lap. Barry Cochran was out there as well, coming home a lap down with Victor Couto, Manuel Vargas, John Krauser, Brett Thurman and Gabriel Hopper. Retirements all due to massive crashes over the course of this race. It was a very difficult time for many of the drivers out here, but it was the opposite for Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, who joins us now in the commentary box. Pablo, the championship lead is extended once more with another dominant victory. You must be happy with your performance.
Hi guys. Yeah, I'm really happy. We are still like pushing to until the last round, so we will see how the things goes. I'm pretty happy with the car, with the team. The guys have been very supportive, so will be a nice 2 last rounds.
Yeah, certainly will. Mugello is a fantastic circuit to drive in any car, but it must be fun in these things. You're carrying so much speed through the corners, but you have to watch out for those curbs on the exits of those corners in the middle of the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an awesome mix, the Super Formula with Mugello. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy fast, very adrenalinic to do a clean, nice lap. Feels pretty well and you finish. And well done for the guys that could keep it together, because it's pretty hard. It's pretty easy to make a mistake to end up in the wall or with a bad race.
Indeed. Are you expecting the same kind of difficulty at Motegi next week? More home ground for these cars?
Yeah, for sure. It's more familiar. GR is pretty strong in Motegi, so the race will be continue, and I hope that we have a nice last rounds for the guys watching and for the good of the championship.
Excellent stuff. Well, another lights to flag victory for you, Pablo. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Let me thank you to you guys for the broadcasting, to RaceSpot for the YouTube transmission, and to my family, my fiance, and my sister that is in now Australia, starting her life in Australia. So a big hug for her.
Welcome to Australia, Pablo's sister. In any case, that's Pablo Valenzuela Uribe there with a fantastic drive to victory. And looks like, Mark, you've had a chance to catch up with JR Williams, who put on the mammoth recovery drive to third.
Hey,
Yeah,
guys.
and unfortunately, JR with another recovery drive this season, getting punted in turn one seems to be a theme for him here of late. JR, kind of walk us through your side of what happened and kind of what your thoughts are.
I mean, I don't know. Everyone was kind of battling like it was the last lap, which is, I mean, it's their right to do so. I got alongside, fully got out, or like completely cleared him before the turn. Braking, start turning in. I see him coming. I open my steering to avoid the crash. Gave him about 2 cars width on the inside, and then around I went. So I watched the replay. I mean, I don't know much else I could have done there.
No, I don't think you could have done much else either. A very unfortunate situation took you out of a chance for victory this evening, but still recovered back to P3. You've got to be happy with that recovery drive.
Yeah, there's no. As soon as I came around, I got on voice chat with my team and said, "Well, I guess the championship's over." I had no idea I would be able to get up to where I did, so I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, very crucial at this juncture of the season to be able to minimize the damage loss here. So yeah, very solid race even with the issues. Are you looking forward to next week's race at all?
Yeah, I like Matigi. It's fun. It was fun last season. The problem is the lack of practice is really hurting me in qualifying. So I really need to figure that out before next week. Starting, I get really good starts, but when you're starting 4th and 5th, it's you're starting the recovery right off the bat. So I just need to work on that.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't make life any easier when you have to start back in the 3rd row or further. But still, a solid drive from you today, and really glad you're able to minimize that damage from the earlier incident. But we look forward to seeing you out there on track next week at Motegi, and congrats again on 3rd place tonight.
All right, thank you guys. See you later.
Let's take it easy.
Well, JR Williams coming away with a podium, and for the AM class, it was a fantastic drive from Christian Jasper, 4th overall, and the AM class victory for the 444, Christian. That was a chaotic race, and you were right in the midst of all of the fighting.
You ain't kidding. I wasn't expecting it to be close like that, honestly. I thought it was going to end up similar to Hungary, but I am pleasantly surprised with this one. I didn't expect to be up this high. This is a bit new for me.
Yeah, indeed. It seemed like Mugello brought up a lot of challenges for the drivers today. What were the main challenges that you were facing around this circuit?
Honestly, keeping the speed while you're behind someone. This entire track is high speed, high commitment. If you miss the apex at turn 1 or turn 2, the whole lap is compromised. You got to work some magic to really bring it all together. I feel like, at least, but man, following was really difficult, but it didn't feel as difficult here as it did in Hungary last week.
Yeah, for sure. And it showed with that brilliant result for you, Christian. Well, you were 5th in the AM Class Championship coming into this round, and it was only a gap of 5 points covering yourself up to Gabriel in 2nd. So basically, I think this means you might be in contention for a championship top 3 going into the last 2 rounds.
Holy cow. All right. Well, let's just let's hope we can make it happen. Either get the same result with I wouldn't even be upset if my teammate got the win, but I'm gunning for the win. We'll see what happens. But I'm it's a blast racing with these guys. You know, I don't know how to really emphasize just how fun it is racing here. So
yeah, certainly fun to watch as well. Well, Christian, congratulations on the AM win, and hopefully further fortunes come at Motegi next week.
Looking forward to it. That's that track is a favorite of mine, so hopefully we can make more of the same.
Excellent stuff. Christian Jasper winning the AM class there. And it was also a great result for Brett Punkari, who finished third in the AM class, stood by with Mark Kalin.
Yeah, we got Brett here on with the onboard camera. As always, loving the background shot with all the sports memorabilia. But Brett, you had a tough race, as I hear my cat trying to join us again in the commentary booth. But still a strong finish for you. And what were your thoughts throughout the race? Were you just struggling with overall rear grip, or?
I was more just physically demanded. Like that's the most worn I've been in a race in a long time. Maybe because the Thrustmaster TA18 wheel I have right under force feedback is up quite a bit. But yeah, we'll try to stay in the racing line, like not spin the rear tires. But the problem with this car, well, not problem, like the challenge with this car felt a lot of the time. And the only reason I was even up here getting a podium in the AM class was just because of the troubles everyone else had. I mean, I was stuck in a brawl there with Marco, Frankie, Victor for quite a bit there, but I just couldn't get by them because I did not want to have what happened at Spa last week. I wrecked Cristobal Valenzuela and got a penalty for it, which I totally deserved that penalty because I deserved that penalty, to be honest. So it was just trying to keep the grip underneath me, and like I said, all these top 10s I would have gotten is just basically been flukes. If our drivers wrecking each other or this and that, at least this was kind of more legit because I was hanging in there with them.
Yeah, you were definitely competing with these guys all race long, and it was really fun to watch. Had some very scary moments for you, though, with getting over the curbs just a little bit and the car getting out sideways on you. But very happy to see you pull it off and make it onto the amateur class podium. Next week, it's Motegi. Do you have any experience there, and are you looking forward to it?
I haven't ran Motegi in a very long time. Maybe like a GT3 or something like that a long time ago. It's not been the best of tracks for me. I kind of limp around. Well, not limp around, just run around and see what happens, really. That's basically where most of my races have been this year anyway. But as I said, I felt comfortable with some tracks. Like I said, Spa was a disaster for wrecking Cristobal, and then Hungary was a disaster, spinning out lap 5, and then once the leaders got to me, I just pulled off so I didn't get in the way there. So, we'll see how Motegi goes, and I'll probably get a feel for it, but I'll probably get really obliterated because it's open setup, obviously. Even though I'm using VRS setups, I'm still going to get obliterated.
Well, there's always the chance, Brett. You got to keep those expectations in check, but at the same time, you got to hope for the best too. So we hope to see you out there on the podium again at Motegi, and really appreciate you stopping by us. I see you get your cat now.
Yeah, and also got to thank all well, not really my sponsors, but Mizuno, QA1, Total Energies. This is the only Yamaha powered super formula car, and his chassis is not even Delaris from Maxim Chassis. Nick Baker, Special Gold Graphics, and Pepsi, Apex, and Bad News Eagles.
Well, Brett, we appreciate your time as always, and hopefully next week we can talk to you again at the end of Motegi.
I think it'd be a miracle if I get another podium, but this salvages what's been, like I said, a great start to the year, but it's been a downward slide since then. Thanks.
Great stuff from Brett Punkari, and hello to Brett's cat as well. Well, that's going to end things here, Mark, for Thursday night in the Precision Racing League. Another fantastic night of racing in both of our categories that raced tonight. I'm looking forward to Motegi next week for the Super Formulas, and of course Willow Springs for the GR86 and MX5s. Two great tracks here that should provide two more great races.
Yeah, just an awesome lineup of tracks from iRacing this season. And yeah, it just looks to keep getting better each and every week. So really looking forward to it next week at Motegi for the Super Formula cars, and cannot wait for it to get started.
Yeah, I can't wait either. We want to thank you all for joining us for this broadcast here on Thursday night. A big thanks to all the sponsors at PRL for helping make this happen, and of course to Precision Racing League themselves for putting on some of the greatest shows in sim racing. I'm Reese Gardner, Mark Kalin with me in the comms box, Hugo Luis behind the scenes, making sure that you're getting these beautiful, crisp live pictures from our RaceSpot studios in Cologne. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
And real quick here, just want to add to all you drivers out there watching, open signups for all of our series next season open up this Sunday. If you want to drive in the PRL, get out there and sign up for one of these awesome series running next season. And we hope to see you out there on the track.